who's the president of India, and I gave the wrong name. So if there is a level 0, then I have started from it, and I've come quite a long way. It's not knowledge, it's not MCQ solving aptitude, it's not answer writing acumen. It's about being toughened and being determined that will actually take a working professional through all the stages. Prelims is definitely the toughest stage in this examination because I've noticed that the other two stages are designed to select you. This is the only one that is designed to evict. For working professionals, weekends are their best friends. This 3-4 hours on weekends can be bumped up to 6-7 hours and be increased accordingly when the exam is near. Geography already, I think my advice is for geography, definitely include one diagram wherever possible. Can be a map, can be a diagram of the geographical phenomena the question is on.
He's Shubhankar Dhruv. He secured All India rank 52 this year. Part of our Smash Means program, mentored by Swatantra sir under the Smash Means program. And I also had the privilege of mentoring him in the interview guidance program. So very polished, very bright student. And also he has worked while giving this examination, and also he has given this examination full time. So he knows both the sides. As an engineer, while he was working, what constraints a working professional might have while giving this examination, and also as full-time aspirant also, what opportunities, what challenges an aspirant might have to go through. So he's very well versed to tell you the both sides of the picture. And he has been an academic prodigy, 9.74 in the college, in the university, in the engineering is a big deal. And you can see from his language and aura that how polished, how sincere he is. So it's a privilege to have you, Shubhankar, on a Sunday evening. Thank you so much for taking out your time for our students.
Thank you so much for having me here, sir.
Okay, Shubhankar. So quickly, if you can give me a recap of all your 3 attempts and how did you process the current results?
Yes, sir. I have given 3 attempts, sir, and initially the first attempt I couldn't clear prelims, but the next 2, last year in 2024, I reached the interview stage, but wasn't fortunate enough to make it in the final list, and this time I have cleared. In the first attempt, I worked up till late 2022. And just a few months before prelims, I had quit my job. So I had the experience to be preparing for this exam while working. And quitting so near to the exam did not help. I couldn't clear prelims. In fact, despite being an engineer, I also was 1 mark short in CSAT, which is quite embarrassing. And it made me, 2023 CSAT was already very tough. And I took it lightly and I paid well for it. Then in the second attempt, I focused on GS and CSAT equally, whatever their weightage was. And I was lucky enough to clear with quite a good margin. So I got around 101 in GS and 100 in CSAT. And I am in the third attempt for prelims. I am yet to see the scores because I also filled in for forest. But both the times I cleared the Indian Forest Services cutoff. Unfortunately, I was underprepared for both times for the forest mains, so I couldn't appear for the forest mains. And I really wanted to focus entirely on civil services examination, so I took a call and did not appear. Then coming to 2024 mains, which was my second attempt, I mostly prepared mains through between the prelims and the mains period, the 3 months. I had no prior answer writing experience. I had barely written any answers within time limit. And I got 770 marks, and that year the cutoff was 729. So I was quite surprised by my marking, and I knew that I can improve because of the lack of practice I had for the SET exam. It requires quite a bit of knowledge and practice. And this year I have scored 816 marks in mains, so I knew that this time I had to cross the 800 mark barrier. So I tried to polish my strengths and simultaneously work on my weaknesses. And then comes the interview stage. I think last year also the performance was pretty average for me. I had the honor to interact with you for both my interviews, and I'm pretty sure you can also say that between the two interviews, I might have transformed quite a bit of my personality. I hope so. So in second attempt, I scored 161 marks, and this attempt, I have scored 195 marks in the interview.
Absolutely, you transformed your personality and you improved your marks by 35 marks. That's great. Also, before we dwell deep into your strategies of mains and prelims and other things, working professional college students, they mostly face similar time constraints. A lot of them have to desire of attempting this examination. So, since you have been on that side of the spectrum, how do you see this exam as a working professional? Can this be done? And if yes, like what do's and don'ts would you suggest to the aspirants who are working and also who are in college?
So, as a working professional, I was myself not quite successful because I left it quite near to the 2023 prelims. However, I would also like to clarify that when I had decided to give this exam, my father has asked me a very simple question: that are you sure? And he asked me who's the president of India, and I gave the wrong name. So if there is a level 0, then I have started from it, and I've come quite a long way. And to be very candid, I was not expecting this result. And I had, over the past 3 years, I had built quite a lot knowledge base to be sure that if I need to give the coming attempt, which is 2026, then I would like to be again working as a professional. And now I'm mature enough to manage the hours as well as the effort that this exam requires. So it is definitely tougher than preparing full time. I mean, being a working professional and taking this exam, but it has its certain advantages. For example, in a workplace, you are required to be professional. And this professionalism is also reflected in your preparation when you are constantly interacting with your colleagues. And it definitely builds quite a polished personality for your interview because it will be a formal setting you'll always be operating in. And it makes you more resilient because very few people in this world will have the gravitas as well as the determination to do a 9 to 5 and then try to take out 2-3 hours more over your personal life and dedicate to this exam. So it toughens you quite a lot. And then no matter what, not only this exam, but what life throws at you, you are prepared. So I've talked about the working professional exam. It is definitely possible, but it is a gruesome journey. And it's not knowledge, it's not MCQ solving aptitude, it's not answer writing acumen. It's about being toughened and being determined that will actually take a working professional through all the stages. If one is clear and determined enough to tackle it, then it is definitely possible. And we need to internalize one Hindi saying, if I may, that मेहनत करने वालों के घर में देर है पर अंधेर नहीं है. So it requires extra hard work, I agree, but it always rewards you well as well. And now coming to preparing full time, it has its own lacunae. For example, mind is too free. You get burnt out much more quickly because you have the option to. You sometimes, life and internet is full of distractions, and I have been the victim of it. I really enjoyed video games, and there were times when rather than studying for 8 hours, I was playing Valorant for 8 hours. So it comes, but with time and with the setbacks as well as the guidance you receive, you get back on the right track, and then you know that what matters and what not, and helps you excel at this exam and also build a routine which will be short success. Recipe to success.
Roughly, yes. If you have to give them a timetable of a working professional or a college student, how many hours would you suggest them to study? And if they have 5, assuming, how would you divide them into different blocks?
Sorry, sir, I didn't catch the last.
How would you divide those 5 hours into different subjects or blocks? whatever?
Right. So, I think 5 hours to begin with after a job is quite optimistic per day. So, I would like to take the weekly approach. So, 9 to 5, you work the basic working hours. Then you need to at least get in 3-4 hours. And in 3-4 hours, I would, since it's 3-4 hours, I would suggest only 1 or 2 subjects per day, and that too on a weekly basis. So for if you're doing polity and geography, for example, then for the entire week, you do polity and geography interchangeably to build your base. Then for working professional, weekends are their best friends. This 3-4 hours on weekends can be bumped up to 6-7 hours, and then be increased accordingly when the exam is near. And then whatever we have worked through during the week and studied, we need to make sure that since we are already since we have such a paucity of time, we need to test ourselves regularly, because we cannot afford to have a backlog. Like backlog is a privilege that I think only people who are preparing full time can enjoy. So we need to be very vigilant with the tests we give, and we cannot be like, "Acha, do weeks ki padhai we will do and test it in the third week." You will forget it, and then you have to do it again, and that will waste time. So 6-7 hours in the weekend and 2 hours in the weekend on a Sunday, there should be definitely a prelims test at least. And then it can also be answer writing on Saturday. So Saturday answer writing 2 hours and 2 hours prelims on Sunday. That way, everything is covered holistically.
Correct. Since you have had some considerable amount of jump in your mains paper, of course, interview also had a great role in deciding your rank, but then you also had considerable amount of jump in your mains paper. And your mentor, Swatantra sir, was clear that, you need to just build more, you don't need to build more content. You have to update yourself with current affairs, and you have to focus on, increasing marks 10 to 15 probably per subject. That was the ideal strategy for you. But then starting with essay, uh, how much you improved, and what exactly did you apply? And by any chance,
Uh,
did you get the opportunity to see the task framework of Rohit sir?
uh, Sir, I couldn't see the framework, and I think that now in hindsight, I think I should have, because essay has the least jump in my mark. So I had 96 marks, but I've improved it to 105, and I think if I would have paid more attention to essay, then I could have increased it further. But in essay, what I was told after the review was that essay needs to be a collection of thoughts studied with examples. While I was doing was when I scored 96, it was a collection of examples studied with sprinkled with a few thoughts here and there, and it was pretty monotonous with very shaky flow. And these are the basic parameters on which essay is assessed. So I was helped to firstly uh, organize my thoughts. So when I'm making pointers, I had the habit earlier in my previous attempt to use examples as the points and dimensions. I stopped that, and I used keywords from ethics or other GS papers to create dimensions. And then on the rough sheet, I used to use an arrow to just remind myself that this is the example I will use to support my point. So now it was a collection of thoughts studied with examples, which is much more ideal than what I was doing. Lastly, my intro and conclusion was very underprepared last time, and they were very long. Intro was reaching 2.5 pages, and I was ending abruptly, and I couldn't manage time. I remember in the 2024 essay paper, the second essay was so rushed that I wrote it under 50 minutes. Ideally, each essay should be given 1.5 hours. So I hadn't practiced enough, due to which equal weightage was not given in terms of time, and that reflected in the marks as well. So this time I made sure that I practiced at least. I think I practiced 12 to 13 essays between 2025 prelims and mains, and got it reviewed. I also explored which examples work, which examples would not connect with the mind of an examiner, because another principle of this essay is that it needs to be understood by a generalist. So just how we read editorials and we can grasp the concepts as well as recall the examples they quote, we don't need anything niche or very special, but it needs to have a particular impact on the point you are making. And that worked for me. So this is my overall essay strategy that helped me.
With respect to philosophical essays coming in now, and students are worried that would they need to dwell deep into philosophies if to clear or to get a hold of these topics. What is your take on that?
Sir, personally for me, I wrote both essays that were philosophical prompts. And I think I realized this quite early in my preparation that firstly, the GS examples that everyone is reading gets very monotonous even for the evaluator. Secondly, philosophical theories that you mentioned, they can simultaneously be applied in GS4. So it is hitting two birds with one stone for me. So I actually prepared an extensive list of philosophies. And I'm not saying that I have internalized those philosophies. I very honestly, I used artificial intelligence and GPTs, and I just took out the names and asked the I wrote a prompt that please give me a 75-word summary of what this philosophy entails. And based on that, I try to incorporate it in my arguments and also in my essay paper. So this is how I was smart about it. So, for example, there were philosophies like Maslow. There were niche philosophies of Kafka, yeah. So Frank Kafka, and these are something which are very fresh when it for an evaluator who has been going through 20 copies a day. Even one or two new things you find in the essay can reward you handsomely, and I think that worked for me. And I also dropped these names in my essay paper. I think in my ethics paper, and it has I have gotten a decent score of 120 in ethics because of that.
Yes, correct. With respect to GS1, of course, except for GS3, your marks were reasonably fine in your previous attempt also. But then, how do you make sense of paper that is GS1? And for the first time, I see an improvement in that, overall improvement in that. Above 100 marks students have scored. But then, since a lot of years, I was seeing students scoring below 100 only. So, what is your take on this paper and how to approach this paper?
Yes, sir. Sir, in both my attempts, I scored over 100. In fact, this is the only paper in this attempt where I've scored two marks less. So in 2024, I had 107, and this year I have 105. Sir, I think GS1 overlaps with a lot of optional. My optional was geography, so it helped. So I did not specifically prepare for geography, but when it comes to GS1, sir, it is very static in nature. Apart from society, I think 70% of the paper is static in nature, and it requires some conceptual keywords which people usually miss because we prepare static during prelims, and then the rush between prelims and mains, we need to focus on GS2, GS3, ethics, and most of them, and then examples for ethics. And it is very current affairs and oriented, and we lose track of the static part. So to have short notes ready for GS1, which can help you revise keywords of the static portion. For example, there are words like iconography, which kind of architecture is being used in a particular era of a temple. This I had prepared despite being weak in history. And when the questions in art and culture or history came, I was able to revise it quickly and reproduce it in the paper in the said time. And GS1 is very rewarding in terms of diagrams. Geography already, I think my advice is for geography, definitely include one diagram wherever possible. Can be a map, can be a diagram of the geographical phenomena the question is on. And in history, if there is nothing, if the drawing is not at par, you cannot create outlines of temples or anything, how Shikhara looks, how Vesara looks. It is always good that this kingdom ke upar there is a question like there was about Chandelas. then just draw an outline of peninsular India and show. So firstly, it will help you manage time because it covers a certain portion of your page, and then it also adds value which I am sure you will be rewarded for. So these things. And another booster for me is that even though I am very bad at memorizing things, I took the pain to try to remember the approximate eras of various kingdoms and various happenings. So when there was a question this time on Jyotiba Phule, I remembered his work, his time period, and it not only adds value, but it helped me introduce him in the answer very seamlessly. So it became my introduction as well. So there are multifaceted benefits of trying to memorize and incorporate very vibrant diagrams, which are only conveying one piece of information, but it adds a variety to your answer that helps.
So how would these aspirants know whether diagrams are relevant in this answer or not? Do you have a model or something for that to recognize that?
So, firstly, practice, answer writing practice. So after writing like 100 or so answers, which you might think are subpar, you'll realize small nitty-gritties that you see in your answers and you'll improve upon that. I did that and it helped me. For example, I was very anti-diagrams except geography. I was um, not very keen on writing way forwards and informative and impactful conclusions. And I think I paid for it in my last attempt. But all these small things actually go a long way. We need to see in a way that, firstly, to identify if there is a particular entity. It can be a kingdom, it can be a person, it can be a particular architecture. So any noun that is occurring, you usually have a visual image attached to it. Now it is up to you how you picture it and imagine it and put it on paper. And UPSC does not need you to be very proficient in drawing. It just needs you to convey a basic idea, and a simple line drawing helps. So that, and then for geography, map is very important. Like since it was my optional, but I was proficient in drawing the map of India or the world within 15 seconds, 20 seconds like this. And it comes with practice. And I have actually taken blank sheets of paper in my previous attempt and just try to draw as accurately as possible on blank sheets to to reduce my time while drawing these things. So we need to have a very varied imagination, sir. So like if there is a question about crop distribution, usually people will just name the states, but why not portray it as per a map? Draw a map of India. The rice is grown in Bihar, Assam, West Bengal, then Punjab, Haryana, then Tamil Nadu. If we show that, then you are saving words in your answer, and you're also you doing something that not a lot of people do, and that gives you an extra edge in terms of marks. So these are these few set questions in which you can definitely include maps and diagrams. In GS2, I found it very tough to include maps. So GS1 and GS3, I would recommend that at least 6-7 questions or even more, if it suits you, can be done with diagrams. And where the questions are wordy, I used flowcharts and mind map kind of a structure to increase variety. I have been an avid user of that. And for this, it is also a time-saving tactic. So I had already assigned key 4, 5, and 6, which are in the middle, and then 15, 16, 17. These questions I will definitely address one subpart with a flowchart. And other questions, if it came to me naturally, I will do it. Otherwise, I won't. So going into the exam with these preconceived rules for yourself that these questions I have to address with flowcharts helps you save time in decision making and just automatically do it. And we need to practice that.
And with respect to GS2 and GS3, both are the papers where current affairs play a huge role, I guess. And also the static knowledge naturally, and value addition also, committees, diagram, data, facts. So how do you deal with both the papers, and how do you integrate current affairs in both the papers? Let's start with GS2 first.
Yes, sir. So GS2, so the GS2 is polity, governance, and international relations.
And social
and I think, sir, between these three, governance and international relations are purely current affair based. And also governance is very fixed. People think it is very daunting, but I'll tell you what I did for the examples data. And so I used the I used the booklets that were provided, the X Factor notes, and I found them a little bit expensive. So what I did was I cut off the internet access to my GPT. I said that you cannot use the internet, and I solely used X Factor notes and uploaded it to it, and asked him that for every question, whatever question I need, use 7 points. Substantiate each point should only be 7 to 8 words long, because that's how much uh, word leeway you get while writing answers. And each point you make should be substantiated with an example of not more than 5 words. And I tried to train it again and again. It fumbled initially. It used to try to refer to the internet and something. But after like 3, 4 prompts, it was solely resorting to X Factor notes and other booklet materials that were available to me. And so these textbooks were shortened for me, and I took all the best possible information and examples and memorized it as much as I can. So every data, every example, I just revised the ones that were present in these notes and tried to reproduce it. And similarly, while giving my test series, while I was analyzing my papers, when I missed an example which was quite evident, I used to upload the question on the said AI and just say ki I have written these points. Am I missing some examples? It used to give me 2, 3 examples. And I used to just, while reviewing, write on the margin that this example is there. And I revised my answer sheets as well before going.
Right. And of course, your scores are good in GS2. With GS3, what's happening overall? Let me know. Why are students not able to crack the code of this paper? And what is your assessment for GS3?
Sir, I don't think, firstly, that I'm qualified enough to say that I've cracked it. But
Nobody is.
I've certainly improved. I scored 81 last year. Now it's 91. And I think what I did different was that there is some high rewarding areas like internal security, where I focus solely on previous year questions, and I wrote the previous year questions in a timed manner and then revised them while doing the same strategy that I used to fetch out examples from AI and supplement it in my already written answers. Then coming to economy, I again used X Factor notes the same way. And I also, with X Factor notes, what I did was the budget as well as the economic survey also I uploaded on AI and said that these are your 3 sources out of which you are not allowed to refer, and just give me all the points from that. So I think AI has been originated from the internet, but if you cut it from its mothership, then it becomes very useful. So that's what I did. And I quoted economic survey in all my economy answers. All my economic answers had economic survey, budget, or this committee. And I also created a very extensive table which had all the committees. So it was just the committee name, the purpose for it was, and one recommendation. Because overall recommendation, which was key, and I made that table and just went through it one day before. After GS2 at night, I just went through those committees. I had revised it before, but it needs to be fresh in the memory. So this is what I did. And then, sir, agriculture and industry, since my geography optional, I did not have to prepare separately. So I just used my optional knowledge, and I used the same framework I used for economy and internal security for that.
And since you scored exceptionally good in ethics, what difference or what exactly the value addition you did to improve or score whatever you scored?
Yes, sir. Sir, in ethics, firstly, I was lacking in case studies, and Swatantra sir actually helped me improve my stance on case studies. So for ethics, he focused not only on theory, but he told me that you cannot. This is administration, and after getting into the services, they want a person who is realist, who is in touch with the ground realities of the situation, and then make the best decision possible. So we cannot always sound idealistic, but we need to sound optimistic. So there were a lot of times when there was a particular ethical dilemma, and I was taking an extremely positive and optimistic uh, uh, take on it. And it, in real life, anyone who will read it will say that no one would ever do it. So while I maintained the positivity and still leaned toward that side, I made sure that I also wrote some cons. Then, secondly, in ethics, what helped me was I collected from the Better India website a lot of current good work that that the senior officers have done to bring development, or any inspiring story that is there occurring there. And I made sure that I follow the same GS strategy, that in theory, for every ethical point or stand I'm taking, I support it with an example. So this time my theory was very rich in examples. And when it comes to ethical theories, apart from the ones mentioned in the syllabus, I went over out of my way, as I mentioned, for essay and ethics. I used these extra theories as per my convenience, and I use them across theory and across case studies. But in case studies, I always aimed to name at least 2 to 3 uh, ethical theories in every answer, but it's not possible, sir. I aimed higher, so at least at the in the real exam time pressure, I was able to do one theory per case study this time. Last year, I was not able to do it.
Correct. Since you have also used AI pretty well across all your papers, and AI is a phenomena that we have to address, it is the elephant in the room. So let us just know your insights about the AI or usage of AI in the preparation as well. I think that would be much more beneficial.
Yes, sir. Uh, sir, AI needs to be your tool. You should not be a tool for AI. After all, it is. I throughout the preparation, I'm pretty sure that I have trained the model in UPSC preparation a lot. So it has stolen a lot of my cognition and intellect. So we need to be mindful. Also, it hallucinates a lot. That's why I have been mentioning again and again that please use your own textbooks and materials that you have read and teach it to AI so that it can help you revise from it. Don't rely on AI going to the internet and fetching information for you. It will mislead you. And the worst thing in mains that you can do is quote wrong data with a lot of confidence. That really damages your marks a lot. I made sure that I will never get an inaccurate data. That's why I cut off internet, because I did not have the time to again check on the internet if the data is reliable. So there needs to be a principled distance with your prep and AI. I, even though I used to prepare my notes, this was in this attempt where I already had also handwritten notes and some textbooks. So I also went through the pain to scan them and upload them and use both my things. So I used my handwritten notes as well, and also the questions I had used from AI. So there needs to be a fine balance where 70% of it should be your own work, then supplement the remaining 30 with AI. Entire dependence is something that I do not support as of now. If it becomes much more mature, the models, then it might change. But for at least today's day and age, entire dependence will cost anyone. So I would advise against it.
Right. Let's quickly jump to prelims, Shubhankar.
Yes.
What are the do's and don'ts would you suggest to these aspirants with respect to prelims examination?
Yes. So prelims is definitely the toughest stage in this examination, because I've noticed that the other two stages are designed to select you. This is the only one that is designed to evict you. So prelims, I would not say don't get scared from it, because I was scared. And I think I channelized this particular fear into being consistent and work hard so that I do not fumble or be on the border. Because even if I'm on the border, the 15 days between prelims and the result, if wasted, and honestly, I wasted last attempt, I wasted it quite well. I did not study entirely for the 15 days between till the results came. It can cost mains, and it did. So it's out there. Uh, For the strategy, we need to make sure that conceptual clarity is our best friend. We cannot afford to get questions related to polity, economy, basic polity, basic economy, geography wrong. We need to make sure that the sources should not be diversified. I always stuck to Lakshmikant for polity. I always, despite having geography optional, for prelims, I just read 11th, 12th NCRTs, nothing, no other textbook for prelims. I revised that. I left my optional material at the gate during prelims and just read basic NCRTs because verbatim statements come in the exam, and that helped me. Then, sir, once we are done with the conceptual clarity, those 30-35 golden questions that I call will always have 95 to 96% accuracy that will get you to 70-80 marks, depending on how your luck is that day. And then comes the rest, which is your peripheral knowledge. I wouldn't call that it is random. While we are solving tests, we need to analyze our mistakes, and we need to always uh, make sure that the mistakes that we are making are not repeated. So I used to keep a list subject wise that this is I've missed. I used to go back and revise and make sure I don't repeat it next time. And if I found a very obscure statement, I used to have another list where something I did not know and was fully factual. I used to revise it once, that just in case it comes, uh, I will know. So these things just build your peripheral knowledge, and this then helps you deduct and do make educated guesses that help you push to the score of 100. And I forgot to mention, but actually before conceptual clarity comes previous year question. Sir, I had done previous year questions so much till 1995 that I had a book first, a compilation, and I revised it so much that I knew at which page कौन सा statement कहाँ लिखा था. तो for this attempt to revise in 30 days, I had to buy a new edition so that I don't just remember as per the location, but as per my knowledge. So I had to retrain my brain. So make PYQs your Bible. And this year also, and even 2024, at least 10 to 14 marks in prelims are scored just solely based on PYQs. And 10 to 14 marks in prelims is a lot and decides 1 year of your life. So first PYQs, second conceptual clarity, and then the extensive peripheral knowledge that helps you make educated guesses. And lastly, I would say that I always used to attempt on the higher end, but this is something. So I used to attempt 90 plus questions. So you need to, and this was decided after I had given multiple mocks. So like 20-25 mocks before any attempt in 2024. And this attempt, I only had 30 days because final results came on 23rd April, and 25th May, I had my prelims, but I still managed to give 10 mocks within 30 days and decide ki at the current level of my preparation, how many questions should I attempt. And I found the golden number to be between 85 to 90, and I eventually ended up attempting to 92 questions in 2025. So that helped. So find your golden number and stick to it. Don't change plans on the D-Day.
And what's happening with CSAT? How do you practice this part of the examination?
Yes, sir. Sir, CSAT, I think despite being an engineer, I failed CSAT by 1 mark in 2023. And I took it lightly. So I made sure that I did previous year questions again for CSAT. And I had ignored English comprehension in my 2023 attempt. So my CSAT strategy is a little unique. A lot of people say ki do sections for which you are confident. I tried that for myself, and I noticed that every time I was not able to reach the last 80th question in the paper, and I was clearing it, but it was sometimes borderline. Sometimes if my luck is good and the paper is easy, I was able to clear it with the margin. Then I went with a very straight up approach. That first question I attempt, second, third, fourth, बीच में जो लंबा लगा, I leave it. And जो tough लग रहा है मेरे को, and it's taking more than 2 minutes for solving a math or logical reasoning question, I leave it. And 80th tak, I used to reach till the 80th question. And then I started scoring above 100 in all mocks and all my main papers. But I practiced, and the I had like a 60-page note of the all the formulas and small questions that I have solved to just remind me, because we need to know some tricks to solve the maths question. We cannot always use the whole step method. If you know, identify a particular pattern, key, this is the pattern that I had solved earlier, feel free to use that shortcut and come to the answer, because it's 66 marks only. It is not that if you score 160, you will get anywhere else. At least for me, there are people, very brilliant people, who score exceptionally well in CSAT, and kudos to them. But for anyone who is struggling with it, I would advise that the basic and easy apples in your basket need to be identified. I am pretty weak in probability and permutation combination, so I used to avoid the questions, but number system as well as pattern recognition were my strengths, and I used to do above average in comprehension. So I focused on that and always crossed the 100 marks ka marker in CSAT.
Correct. Now let's quickly go to the 2027 aspirants. If they have to start their preparation from today, there are three most important pillars they have to focus. One is the static aspect, one is the optional, and one is the current affair. Right? Of course, there will be minute things, but then the preparation would revolve around these three major blocks. If we take 3 months each, from March to June and like that, what would you suggest them to do if they have to start from today till say June 2026?
From today to June 2026, if they have selected their optional, I think they need to have very extensive handwritten notes for optional, because apart from the scientific subjects, all the humanities-based subjects are different than GS. They still are supposed to be short, but the points, in my opinion, needs to be a little bit more explanatory in nature, because this is your core subject and of a higher level than a general studies paper. So some academic level, academic acumen needs to be reflected in your answers, and it will only happen if you have proper explanation of concepts as well as theories. So till June, I would suggest to complete your app optional at least 90%, and do it with a sense where, against your notes, if you're doing a particular topic, if not attempted, although ideally I would say try to write a few answers, but sometimes it does not happen. You need to at least have it mapped that for this topic, this kind of questions have been asked, so that you have this particular mental construct in your mind that after studying this or revising it in my next cycle, these are the questions that are my opponents. I need to tackle them. This is what I will do for optional, and make sure that you don't neglect it completely, and whatever you require, the test series of previous years, have it prepared, because sometimes when there is a gap between optional and GS and you again come back to optional, then you will think, I've forgotten everything about optional. What are the previous year questions? And then a lot of time is wasted again recollecting everything and memorizing what you had done earlier. It comes quickly, but it's still a week or two wasted, and I would advise we should not waste that.
Now, from June to September, what would you suggest them after this?
June to September, sir, is the time when we start GS. And GS, I would say the most comfortable yet the most important thing to start with is polity and geography. These two subjects, because have so much applications. I mean, if you're doing geography, it will help you with international relations. It will help you with agriculture. It will also help you with mapping. It will help you in many other things. It can help you in industries. So having basic understanding of geography and polity, in my opinion, is very important. Polity, because if you don't know the government structure, the policies, how constitution works, you will never be able to understand governance, social justice, society, because law is a very integral part of society. So these basic subjects need to be done. And in addition to that, I think towards the midpoint, when one is towards the end, we should also include history in it. And it will not be, I don't think for a beginner, it will be justified to say that complete these three heavy hitters in 3 months. But we need to pick up these three. And after September ends, while we are doing this, we need to also include economy, because economy is again a game changer in prelims. If you don't have your base concepts like national income accounting, money and banking in on your tips, then understanding the much more advanced concepts like financial markets, investments will be tough. To incorporate all this, we need to have basic materials and basic understanding. And it depends upon your style of studying to make what kind of notes you want to make. For polity, I did not use notes. For history, I had notes. And for geography, I had my optional notes that I used to revise. For economy, I used to refer the book by Vivek Singh sir. And I've read that twice or thrice in my 2024 attempt. After that, I had memorized it in a way that I created short notes online, typed it. And for this attempt, I only did the short notes. But we got to start with the main reference books and then build our way to notes. These four pillars should be done by November and December. And then along with that, we need to now start revising these four while tackling the uh, current affair subjects that really haunt us. So science and tech, environment, and IR, these things need to be done. And when I said history, sir, I meant art and culture included in that, because I used to consider it under the same head. So till December, complete your four main subjects, while whatever resources if you're reading newspaper, then that 1 hour you're doing anyway. Otherwise, if you are a monthly magazine reader, then your target should be that for the first week of every month, you should complete the magazine of the previous month. I never used newspapers. I did monthly magazines and yearly compilations. And to be very honest, I was not very diligent, but with first week, last month magazine, I did not always comply. But if one can do it, then it's more than ideal. So that's what I will suggest.
Wonderful. And December 26th till March 27, the final 3 months where probably mains can be studied. What would suggest them to do?
Sir, then I'd say 60% prelims, 40% mains. That's when you will try your hand at answer writing. Initially, when you start with answer writing, you cannot comprehend that how does one write a 10 marker in 7 minutes and a 15 marker in 11 minutes. And you will not be able to fully understand it by the end of March. At least I wasn't. But I made sure that I knew what is expected to be there on those two sheets of paper under one question. It needs to be intro. It needs to be a boxed subheading. There needs to be numbered points. There needs to be examples to support your points. There needs to be a way forward in topics like governance, social justice, where there needs to be work done in the world, climate change. These things need way forward. And then a very suitable and specific conclusion with forming structure in an under high pressure outcome are ready with timed answers and paper completion. But if structure is not clear in your mind, then it's a problem. Identifying between January and March, it needs attempting like 2, 3, or 4, 5 questions per preparing. And you should also refer to Topper's answer copy 2020.
Okay. More or less, I think we could get the gist. Okay, coming to the last segment, obviously, the mistakes to avoid if you have to attempt this examination again and clear it in the one attempt.
Yes.
What mistakes would you avoid and what would you suggest to these students? You can say as many as you want.
Sure, sir. Sir, I'll start paper-wise. So for prelims, firstly, don't neglect CSAT, no matter how good you are in aptitude, maths, reading comprehension. Never neglect CSAT. depending on your acumen, it can be 15 days of preparation or 2 months of preparation. But don't be like, I've glanced on the PYQs and now I'll directly attempt my first paper on the main day. That's what I did in 2023 and it cost me. About GS, I'll over reliance on current affairs in prelims can be can adversely affect your attempt. So over reliance on current affairs should be not there. There needs to be a concept where you have built a foundational clarity of the core subjects. On top of it, whenever you refer to current affairs, your brain straight away takes you to that particular conceptual point you read in your basic books. That's how the current affairs need to be addressed, where you relate to a particular static topic and then say, oh, from this topics, the current affairs has come. In mains, don't chase perfection, because with the stipulated time, there is no perfect answer, in my opinion. There just needs to be paper completion with a few exceptional answers, a lot of average answers, and a few that you don't know, but you still write anyway. Then coming to optional, make sure that you don't write it like a GS paper, and vice versa. You cannot write GS topics as your optional paper. It is not taken well while evaluation. And essay and ethics are actually your score maximizers. It is very easy to complete them since the syllabus is defined and short. And it is much more interesting to read after you have overloaded your brain with all the GS facts and data. So ethics and essay are your best friends. Now coming to the personality test. I think Saket sir only used to say that everyone will tell you that knowledge is not tested in this exam, in interview. But he said that your personality is somewhat defined by the level of knowledge you possess. So if not everything, at least 20% of weightage should be given to knowledge. Don't completely ignore it.
I'll repeat my line. People say that it's not a test of your knowledge, that has already been tested in the mains, but then it is a test of your knowledge as well, because you have to put data and you would be knowing, right?
Yes.
So you can't.
Yes, sir. I paraphrased it kind of. Yes.
Right, absolutely.
Then, sir, also, so I was being too diplomatic and neutral on a lot of standpoints. So I think wherever you think that your opinion can be backed by very well-informed and educated arguments, don't shy away from that. The only thing you need to maintain is a dignified demeanor as well as respect. Whenever you are even disagreeing with the board, they actually accommodate and welcome well-informed but very civilized disagreements. That actually initiates conversations that can cause a positive impression. And these are the things about the interview. But in life general, sir, now while preparing, I would just like to say, don't neglect your health, because I had gained a lot of weight after 2024 mains, and I had a lot of ailments, and I made sure that I get back into shape. So no matter how tough it gets, please find half an hour, or if not daily possible, then 4 days a week, you need to indulge in physical activity. Eat healthy. However, I also support using food as a mechanism to fight your frustration. So while being healthy, make sure you treat yourself from time to time. One Zomato order a week will not be hurtful, but don't do it a lot. Then finally, don't completely cut off your friends. The biggest thing I'm thankful for is that, I'm so proud to say, is that the day my result came, I did not meet any new people. All the friends that have been here since the last 3 years showed up at my house, and they have been constant in my life since then. So seeing them after you have made it, and them seeing you after you have made it, is a very life-defining experience, and I would not suggest anyone to be completely isolated, and always keep your close friends in loop at whatever time point of life you are in. They will surely help you if they love you.
Wonderful.
So,
What a session it was, Shubhankar. Thank you so much.
thank you.
You have holistically explained everything to the students. We'll, of course, I and Nisha ma'am are here, students, to solve the doubts and repeat whatever he said. But thank you so much, Shubhankar, to take out 55 minutes in your at a Sunday evening.
No problem, sir. No problem. This is nothing, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shubhankar. You may leave. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir.